So I have a question for you. What's the very first word that comes to your mind when I say the word bog? Maybe muddy, smelly, or remote. Or maybe you're not sure, but you remember this scene from the never-ending story where the hero's beloved horse Artax gives up hope and sinks into the swamp of sadness. That was a bog. As someone who studies these places, all I can say is bogs really need to hire a new PR team because we've dismissed them as useless, even dangerous places that can swallow you whole. But here's the truth. Bogs are remarkable. They're rich and full of life, and they serve a greater purpose. In fact, once upon a time, a long time ago, a bog actually saved me. Let me tell you about my very first experience visiting a remote Canadian bog. I was brand new to graduate school, brand new to fieldwork, and definitely brand new to helicopters. Like, what could possibly go wrong here, right? When we arrived at the site, the pilot explained the ground was too unstable to land, so he needed to hover several meters in the air above the bog while we climbed down. It's called a hover landing or a hot landing, and I wasn't feeling so great about this. So there I was, standing in front of an open helicopter door with the rotors whirring madly above my head, trying to remain calm as I carefully stepped out onto the rail. I took a deep breath and looked down, tried to gracefully step off. But instead, I completely slipped and fell face first, arms out, kersplat, nosedive right into the bog in front of everyone. But here's the thing. The bog saved me. Its spongy surface absorbed my fall like a giant safety net. I mean, I was drenched. Bog water poured in my boots, filled my pockets. I even swallowed some. But I was fine. Later that day, as we lifted off again, I looked down and saw the imprint of my fall. Like an upside-down snow angel pressed into the peat. An imprint of that younger me, it's probably still there. And that moment really stuck with me because bogs don't just soften physical falls. They cushion impacts in ways we're only beginning to understand. That day, a bog caught me, literally. But bogs have the power to catch all of us, to buffer the crash we are headed towards with our global climate. But let's step back a little bit. What exactly is a bog? I mean, at its core, a bog is a wetland that accumulates thick layers of peat, and peat is just mostly dead plant debris. Plants that grew, died, but never fully decomposed. Why is decay halted? Well, because bogs are really wet, acidic, and low in nutrients, microbes really struggle to do their jobs. So instead of everything breaking down efficiently, plant material just piles up. Millimeter by millimeter, year after year. Over centuries, these layers can become meters thick, even hundreds of meters thick. I like to call them carbon cathedrals. Why? Because every layer of peat locks away carbon. Bogs have been quietly pulling carbon out of the atmosphere and storing it underground, and they have been doing this for thousands of years. Can we all please say a thankful prayer to the carbon cathedrals of our world? Today, bogs occupy a really tiny footprint, less than 3% of Earth's land surface, but they store more carbon than all of the world's forests and plants. Think about that. More carbon than every single tree on our planet, packed into wetlands, most people write off as useless swamps. And bogs haven't just been climate allies, they've also been cultural allies. Throughout history, people have turned to bogs for safety and protection. The Seminoles sought refuge deep in the Everglades to escape government forces. Enslaved people found their freedom by disappearing in the Great Dismal Swamp, surviving for generations without seeing anyone from the outside. From Northern Ireland to Vietnam, bogs have sheltered cultures determined not to be erased. And bogs, they don't just protect people, they protect history itself. Because bogs resist decay, they remember. They're time capsules. Whatever's placed in a bog can stay preserved for thousands of years. Take the Huldremoose woman, laid to rest with care in a Danish bog more than 2,000 years ago. She was richly dressed. She had jewels and valuables hidden in her pockets. She sought protection in the bog for a safe journey to her afterlife. And the bog did protect her. So well, in fact, that scientists today can still identify the fibers in her clothing, even the plants used to dye the fabric. Early humans like her knew bogs were powerful. They were sacred places. People offered treasures to the bog, asking for good weather or safe passage. People trusted bogs to protect them in life and also in death. So for thousands of years, bogs have protected us. But now it's our turn because they are under attack. Drained for agriculture, scorched and scarred by wildfire and drought, these damaged bogs don't just stop helping us, they flip and begin to release greenhouse gases on a scale that rivals national emissions of some major countries. I love bogs for so many reasons, and I truly wish this weren't so unusual. My dream is to live in a world that embraces them. But the reality is we live in a world intent on destroying them. So how do we fight back? How do we all become bog champions? So one simple step is to stop using bagged peat in our gardens. Every bag like this means draining and destroying a bog. It's sold as rich soil, but the minute we work peat into our gardens, it begins to decompose, releasing all its carbon to the sky. All that effort to build carbon cathedrals, just to be quickly undone. Instead, use a product like local compost. It's far better food for your plants, and it doesn't come with a carbon hangover. And if you can, go visit a bog. Experience its strange, otherworldly beauty. Meet the tiny sundew, an insect-eating plant that fascinated Charles Darwin so much he exclaimed, "I care more for these plants than the origin of all species on Earth." Because once you visit a bog in all its soggy splendor, it's hard not to care about them. And caring is the first step to protecting. Years ago, I made quite the impression on a bog, a physical one, that upside-down snow angel. I hope now bogs have made an impression on you. They have been our sanctuaries, our storytellers, our safety nets. Let's take a page from our early ancestors and revere them. Because bogs remember, and now more than ever, they need us to remember them. Thank you.